Welcome to this video. Is it the Sunday stream? Is it a Fresh Friday? No, not Friday. Is it a Tickety Talk video? No, it's the show. Now you're probably wondering, where is everybody else? Because it's just Michael right now. And you're right, it is just me.
Where are you?
Here's the deal. So Sam, Lizbeth, Kelsey, and I, we already recorded the show. This is episode 12. And somewhere along the way, the footage disappeared. So tonight, we're putting it all together because tomorrow, I'm leaving on vacation. And by tonight, I mean Thursday. And by tomorrow, I mean Friday. So you're seeing this on Sunday. And by that point, I will be somewhere else. Some of you actually probably will too. So it's the show. I'm missing my friends right now, but they're going to be jumping in just a minute in a different way. So we're on episode 12.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Like the disciples, or like the tribes of Israel, a carton of eggs, or if you add 1 to 12, you get a baker's dozen of donuts from Donna's Donuts in Flint, which is the only place to get donuts from. Last week, we had 2 special guests. In Breakaway, we had Jackson Prepelic from the Birmingham campus, and in Edge, we had Kcstudents.orion, and it was awesome. We learned all about Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and a really cool story about how she was seen by him. So this week, though, we're talking about a really big word, forgiveness. Or in our house, we say forgiveness. I don't know why we do, but we do, and it's kind of funny. But speaking of forgiveness, we got a question for you. Like, do you remember the last time that you did something that you knew was wrong? Or maybe did some damage to a relationship that you had? Like, maybe you copied a little too much off of your friend's homework. Or maybe you told your parents you were going to one place, and you did go, but you didn't tell them who all was going to be there. Or maybe you said you were studying the whole time the other day, and really you were just upstairs watching your favorite show and just hiding it behind one of your books. But don't worry, we're not gonna ask you a question that we won't answer. In fact, we have a little game that we're gonna play. Now, I was trying to figure out, how do I do this? Because what do? Do I put up, like, do I do sock puppets of everybody? Because that would be kind of weird to do that, but it could be kind of funny. Or maybe I could like video call everybody, but it's kind of really late at night and they got kids. Oh, Siri thought I was talking to her. I'm not. So what's gonna happen is we're playing 2 truths. She doesn't understand. Of course you don't, because I wasn't talking to you. So we are playing 2 truths. I put 3 fingers. 2 truths. At 3, pick number 3, my lord. Okay, 2 truths and a lie, but it's something unique about it. We're talking about things we got in trouble in high school or middle school for. So we're gonna see how well you think you know us. So we're each going to say 2 truths and a lie. We'll give you a second to figure out which one you think it is.
Hey everyone, it's Kelsey. Here are my 2 truths and a lie. Let's see if you guys can figure out which of the 3 is the lie. Number 1, in high school, me and my best friend Carly, in our geometry class that we took together, we sat right next to each other, and we constantly got in trouble for talking to each other during class when we were like taking our time to do our homework together. Like, this wasn't even just a one-time thing. This was like we got in trouble all the time for it. Number 2, me and one of my friends in early middle school, he lived right next to me, and we were rollerblading on our street, and we were going around to different neighbor houses and playing around in their front yards next to their mailboxes, trying to play tag and chase after each other and tag each other. And we later got in super trouble because we found out that playing with another person's mailbox is actually a federal offense. Mail is federal property. Bad news bears if you get caught for it. And so it was like major trouble. And number 3, on one of my friend's 16th birthday parties, we were, staying up late and decided we want to do something fun. So we went and we toilet papered or TP'd a high school teacher's house. We went and did all their front yard trees, made a huge mess, and unfortunately near the very end, we got caught and got in major trouble for TPing their house. So if you do that, don't get caught. So I want to know if you guys can figure out which 2 are the truth and which one was a lie. All right, so The lie that I told was the story of TPing a teacher's house. Now, me and my friends in high school, we TP'd a lot of houses, but we never TP'd a teacher's house. So, thanks guys.
First, I once skipped school to go buy a Taylor Swift album that was coming out that day. Second, I once got in a fight with my sister and I ended up ripping her t-shirt. And last, I once trash talked my parents over a text message and then they took my phone and happened to read those texts. And so then I got in trouble. Which one of these do you think is the lie? So the lie is that I once skipped school to go buy a Taylor Swift album.
So I forgot to give you mine. Here are my 3. Which one of these is a lie? One of them is. So I was in detention in high school. I was in detention at least once a semester. So it was like after school because I got in trouble for something. I photoshopped a doctor's note and used that whenever I had too many absences for a semester, so that way I didn't drop my grades. And then I also insulted my science teacher in 9th grade, and I made him cry. Which one? The answer is, I never insulted the teacher and made him cry. I did do the other things, though.
Number 1, I had a teacher in high school who put a hand sanitizing wipe in my mouth. Number 2, I once brought a pocket knife to school and got suspended for having it on the bus. And number 3, I once took urine and poured it on people's car door handles at a party I was not invited to. Which one is it? The lie is number 2. My brother is the one who took the pocket knife to school and I don't think he actually got suspended, but he brought it and he almost got suspended. I think he brought it without knowing. He was in like the 2nd grade or something. But the other 2 were true. So yes, I did take the urine. And I poured it on people's car door handles. Because I wasn't invited to the party. I had a friend with me. We did that together. Okay, we were in it together. It was pretty entertaining. Pretty fun to do. Don't recommend it. Yes, my teacher did make me put a hand sanitizing wipe in my mouth for something that I'm sure that I said that was not okay in speech class. I didn't say it during a speech, but I said it in speech class. And she was pretty bold and put a hand sanitizing wipe in my mouth. Disgusting.
These stories were pretty entertaining, but the reality is, no matter who we are, whether or not we work for a church, no matter where we live, we are always running into situations where we have to make choices. And if we're honest, if we're real, we don't always make the healthy choice. We don't always make the right choice. We don't always make the good choice. We don't always make a choice that's helpful. Sometimes we end up making choices that affect our relationship with others. And you know, sometimes people do that to us too. We got a story from Sam where he experienced this in his own life.
A few weeks ago, and honestly lately, my daughter Nora has been learning how to be sorry, what being sorry means, what forgiveness means, and just those things as she, you know, as a 3-year-old is making some mistakes, doing some things maybe she shouldn't be, saying things in ways she shouldn't be, throwing some tantrums, you know, no big deal. And but it's been important. We do this thing called timeout, and for us, timeout looks a little different. Like, probably the most recent one is my wife was getting dinner ready, and Nora is not wanting to eat whatever it is that we're having. She starts throwing a fit, probably walks over. One of the other things she likes to do is punch me in the face, so that's cool. But when she does these things, then it's like, okay, we gotta go time out. We gotta take some time. We gotta take some deep breaths. Let's talk about what's going on inside her heart is what we do. And then at the end, we get to a spot of saying, hey, Nora, was this okay, what we did? And usually she gets to a place once she's able to calm down and think about it and say, no, Dada, that was not good. And so then I'll ask, so what are we? I'll say, sorry. And it's like this really sweet thing for her, or for me at that point, where I'm like, okay, she's getting it, she's feeling it, which is sad, because it is a sad thing to feel, but she's got to know what's okay and what's not. And so at the same time, when she feels sorry, immediately I say that I forgive her. And that's something, like, that's a word we don't really use. Like, you and I, we don't use that in normal conversation. If somebody tells us they're sorry, we usually don't even say that. But I wonder, what would that look like if we did? If somebody did say that they were sorry and we actually said, you know, I forgive you. Like, that might even trigger a conversation, because it's so strange of a word to use in society and in normal conversation today. But I say that to Nora right away, so that she knows that there's nothing that she could do that would lose any of my love, or that would be outside of the forgiveness that I have for her. Because, and the reason that is huge, and I think most of you guys know this, but the reason that is because there's nothing that I know that I can do that is outside of the forgiveness that God asks me to that God gives to me. And so in the same way, and that's true for you, there's nothing that you can do outside of what God can forgive. God will always forgive right away. However, that same forgiveness he gives us, we are called and asked and commanded to forgive others with that same amount of forgiveness. And so that's just what I would ask for you guys to do today. Like, know that forgiveness is not conditional when it comes to God's forgiveness. And so because of that, ours should not be either.
This is what the writers of the Bible mean when they talk about the word sin. It's when we act or speak or sometimes even think in a way that moves us away from what is good, away from what is love, away from what is healthy and helpful. That's what sin is. It's a move away, or another term we always talk about is an archery term, that where you missed the mark. So that's what it is. It's a moving away. The mark is good. The mark is love. The mark is healthy choices. The mark is helpful choices. The mark is moving towards life. So when we make a decision that moves away from that, it gaps away from that, that's what a sin is. It's a moving in the wrong direction. So when we sin, it creates space between us. It pulls us away from the direction that God would be leading us toward. So there's a story in the Bible that really pinpoints this, and I think is a great example. And remember, we've been talking about the afterlife. So it's the lessons that Jesus' friends learned from him after he came back to life. Because after the resurrection, Jesus kind of kicked it into high gear with how he taught and what he taught, and really all the things that he did, and the way he really just placed everything on our shoulders. He really talked about our responsibility for those who have experienced life and love to be the ones to go give it to other people. Because of that, he was very challenging, but also very inviting. So there's this story that you probably heard of as you guys were reading about Easter this week, if you were reading that with your family, or maybe you know this before. But right before Jesus died, Peter had this moment where he had told everyone around Jesus, that he was going to be with Jesus no matter what. He was going to stand up for him no matter what. He was going to be the one that was always by his side. And Jesus said, no, you're not. And he said, yes, I am. And Jesus said, you're going to deny me. You're going to say, you're going to pretend you don't know who I am. And he's like, no, I'm not. And sure enough, when Jesus got taken away by the soldiers later that night, 3 times, Peter denied Jesus.
3 fabulous flyers!
3 times he was like, hey, you know what? I don't know this guy. Who is this guy? I've never seen him before in my life. I am not one of his people. I don't know. She's crazy if she's saying that about me. That's not me. I got a twin somewhere. He lives in Ohio. Like, maybe it was him. But no, it was not me. 3 times. 3. Fast forward to after Jesus' resurrection. The disciples, many of them had seen him at least for a brief moment right afterwards, but then he was gone. But then if you skip forward a little bit later, what you find is that Jesus comes to see them again. But this time, they're not in Jerusalem, they're back home. They're fishing on the Sea of Galilee, fishing back at their hometown. So what does that mean? Why were they there? Why were they doing that thing that they did before they ever met Jesus? It's because they gave up. So Jesus comes out and they bring it, Jesus goes out there and he tells them to put their nets in, and they bring in a whole bunch of fish just like the time before. They bring the fish up, and Jesus starts cooking them dinner. So by the bonfire, they're all kind of sitting with him and talking with him. And Jesus asks Peter a question, and he says, "Do you love me?" And Peter says, "Yes." Actually, 3 times.
Number 3. Oh, yeah!
Do you see the significance of the 3 times? Yeah. What's he doing? He's giving him a new start. He's giving him a chance to begin again. He's offering him that really big word we talked about, forgiveness. And at the end of that, Jesus looks at Peter and he says, "Then go feed my sheep." He restores Peter back to his position of leadership. He let him know, like, it had never left him. That calling was still there. His life was still there. The hope for his future was still there. It had never gone, regardless of what he had done. See, forgiveness is the thing that Peter needed. See, his actions, his words had pulled him away from the things that Jesus had called Peter to be. And the only way to return to that was to experience forgiveness. The thing is, Peter never asked for forgiveness. And Jesus didn't even make Peter come to him. Jesus went to Peter. Jesus offered it to Peter. Jesus brought the conversation to Peter, and then at the end, restored him back. You see, he was letting him know that forgiveness was already there for him. It was there for him the whole time. Peter just needed to believe it. And that's why Easter is so important. Because of Easter, forgiveness is there for us. It's already been handed to us, and we're invited to accept what's already ours, what already belongs to everyone. The ability to come back, the ability to be forgiven, the ability to be free, and to step into life and to step into goodness that was intended for us all along. So this Easter, may you and I, may all of us, may everyone choose to trust that we are forgiven. And may we choose in turn to forgive others because of what we've learned in the resurrection. Have a fantastic Easter next week. Don't forget, we'll be back here on YouTube, same time, 11 o'clock next Sunday, because we're out of town, and also because many of you are out of town, and because it's Easter. It's time to spend time with your family. So we will catch you the following week. Edge, don't forget, you have the mini retreat. Sign up now. That is April 10th, Saturday, after we get back from break. So Saturday, April 10th, $20. Sign up now. The link's going to be below. Also, we will catch I don't know what also is. We'll just see you all, everybody, Breakaway and Edge, on April 11th. Take care. See you later. Put some sunscreen on. Brush your teeth. All that stuff.